Do you want to know what it feels like to be published in the English, the German, the Spanish, and the French market? Well, we have somebody on this show, in this interview today, who is going to tell you.
Hi, we are Andrea and Freya, and we are on our way to become international best-selling authors.
And we take you along for the ride.
So we've been just talking to Mark Henwick, and he is a very, very accomplished author. He has been writing since 2011. He writes sci-fi and urban fantasy, and he's actually published in multiple languages. And so we had just the pleasure of talking to him about what it's like to be a UK-based author and to venture out in this international big world. And he had some amazing stories to tell.
And he had some amazing numbers to put. And he had us to put some amazing numbers we didn't even know about. And now we feel so confident and inspired. And seriously, watch the whole interview and then check your numbers.
And just get along, get inspired. We won't disappoint, I promise.
So without further ado, enjoy the interview. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Andrea. Hello, Freya.
Hi.
Very pleased to meet you virtually. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, great
thanks,
that you're here.
Thanks for being here.
So, Mark, we had the fortunate... we were lucky enough to meet on the London Book Fair in April, I think. And,
back then, yeah.
Yeah, and Andrea and I, we were kind of running around, and, you know, we had just having started this podcast, you know, about becoming international best-selling authors. And this is actually kind of how we met, really. We kind of ran into each other, and we connected on this, basically, because you are an indie author from the UK, right?
I am, yes.
And but you're also an international author already, which is something that Andrea and I aspire basically to. And
are about to be.
Yeah, so this is why it's actually so great that we are, you know, here and, you know, talking to you, because you are kind of ahead of where we want to go. And yeah, so thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
and
well, thank you for inviting me. I hope I can enthuse you. I'm sure I can scare you with some things as well about becoming an international author.
Okay, let's see about that. Challenge accepted.
Yeah, always. And we always ask the people we have on our interviews before the interview for their favorite quotes, and you just gave us yours. Could you repeat it?
Okay. It's a quote specific to what we're talking about today, which is indie publication, and it's that success is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And I really believe that works for the indie author community. You really have got to work for your successes, much more so now than when I joined 10 years ago. So that's my quote for the interview, and my quote for the general process of being an author, and especially being an international author.
Yeah, we totally agree. I guess you do too. Why would you say it's even more true today than 10 years ago when you started?
My first publication was back in 2012. I finished writing a year before, but I was looking for a traditional publisher, and traditional publishers weren't interested in the paranormal at the time. But at that stage, I mean, there might have been 5 million books on Amazon, possibly. There might have been a couple of 100,000 books, new books published. And that's not the situation now. Everything is multiplied by 10. And so trying to get noticed now, you have to make more than 10 times the effort that I made in my first publications. It is very difficult now. Millions and millions of books out there. I mean, I'm speaking specifically about Amazon. Other retailers exist, and of course they have books that Amazon doesn't have. if you add them all together, you would you would just be overwhelmed by the sheer numbers. Try not to think about it. Perhaps try to think in genre, and say, well, there's not a million new books in my genre. Think of it like that, because the numbers are scary.
Yes, they are.
That's true. But then again, isn't it in some ways easier to publish today and to start today? Because there have been so many people who have just started, and we can just rely on their or just use their knowledge and act on it.
You're right in that there is a path that has been laid by a lot of other people, and there are millions of books telling you about the craft and the marketing processes and what you need to go through. They unfortunately don't agree with each other, but at least you have paths to follow. Whereas when I started, people were saying, I don't know. Chuck it up on Amazon and see what happens.
And that's basically how I started, so I relate to that very much.
And a lot of people were that's just impossible. And I think that today a lot more people really see that there's a way, and a lot of more people or readers are more open to self-publishers than 10 years ago, right?
Yes. It's all to do with marketing and presentation as well, in that when I started, you could look at a book, the tiny little icon on the Amazon browser screen, and you'd say,
I remember.
That's an indie. That's a traditional. And you can still do that to a certain extent, especially in some genre. But it is less of a step you have to climb these days. People say, yes, there are a lot of indie authors out there. And because there are indie authors out there who are making millions, not me, who are making millions, because there are indie authors out there, people are saying they must be doing something right. And therefore, I won't automatically assume that just because this person is obviously an indie author, their work is no good. Back when I started, when you submit to Amazon, it says, okay, who's the publisher? And I was thinking, I am not putting Mark Henwick, so I call myself Mark, as in M-A-R-Q-U-E. And that's my publishing name, which of course is an English word saying it's a brand, it's a definition. And I mean, I don't own that, but it was always my defence, so that people would look at me and say, "Is he indie or is he trad?"
Yeah, I have that too. I have a each. That's my logo. That's my that's what I put in this when it says who's the publisher. I put it just in there.
Yeah.
So,
I just put my name in there.
And these days, that's absolutely fine. 10 years ago, people would have said,
Yeah. But Mark, I really, you said something very interesting early on, when we talked about your quote, and that especially as an indie author, you really have to put in the work. And then you said, especially when you go international. And I would be really interested, what do you mean by that? Like, what is it like to be an indie author who has to put in 99% of the work? And when they go international, like what's ahead basically once you decide to make that step?
It's an accumulation of little things. What sells your book? What sells your book is your cover and your blurb. You have got to, in that tiny little image, capture someone's eye. And then they've got to go to the Amazon. I'm speaking Amazon, because it's 99% of everything out there. And then when they go to the Amazon page, they've got to read the blurb and say, "Ooh, I like that." I hope I can do that in English, and in the American market. I write basically for the American market, because the American market has come together. So urban fantasy as a genre has a style, and if you put kick-ass female with swirly lights in the background, people will say, "Ah, it's urban fantasy," and then you click through, and then it's the words, and the words have to resonate in an English-speaking ear. Now you've got to do that in Germany. And
without speaking German, I suppose. German. Do you speak German?
If I'm back in Germany for I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, I would start stumbling through it again. Not these days. Not these days. Okay. I can probably get back to very poor, certainly not fluent or anything like that, but a very poor, stumbling understanding of what's going on. But not so much reading. I mean, talking. I find it very much more difficult to read a newspaper, for instance, than to talk to someone about an article in the news. Essentially, I don't read German. My level of German at the moment is adequate that when I'm responding to people on my Facebook pages, and I go and cheat and use Google, I know when Google has got it wrong. That is about the level of it, and people haven't been. I hope people haven't been insulted yet by anything I've said. So that's my level of German, but that's not good enough. You have got to have a blurb, very, very concentrated bit of text. You've got to be able to press triggers in a language where you don't know what those triggers are.
Yeah.
And so blurbs are difficult. Covers, I've been in Germany now for in the German market for about 8 years or something like that. They still hate my covers. They tell me regularly, "We don't like your covers," because my covers were designed. I wanted, right from the start, I wanted to be more like a traditional. So I went out. I got a model. I got a photo shoot. I got a photographer. I got a cover design artist.
Oh, that's why it's always the same girl in front. You know, the covers I was impressed by the fact that it was always the same person on the covers, because a lot of times you don't have that.
Yeah, and she's now a personal friend of mine. She's actually just narrated one of my science fiction books in English because she has this wonderful English precise voice which just works.
Wow, awesome.
But anyway. On the covers, she's meant to be American. She's meant to be kick-ass. She's meant to scowl, and she's not like that normally, but she does scowl very well. But I was writing for the American market. Americans, guns, yes, guns, aggressive.
Germans not so much.
Leaping out of the screen at you, and yes, Germans, not so much. We don't like that so much.
Well, they kind of do, but in secret.
Yeah, not on the cover of the book. Very obviously, the German market quite likes what I write when it's been translated, and in the original English. I sell a lot of books in English in Germany, which also always stuns me. But they like it, and those covers depict reasonably the sort of things that go on in the books. So yes, there is a lot of aggressive leaping out and firing guns and werewolf battles and magic battles and all the rest of it. But not on the cover. No, don't like it on the cover. And you go the other way. I am traditionally published in France. And I have absolutely no editorial control over either the blurbs or the French covers. or minimal control over the blurbs, but nothing at all over the French covers. My French covers look like romances. There's kind of it is a full woman's head looking to one side, looking down, never looking at the screen, never looking out at the view, looking down, looking to the side, looking to that side, and the colours in the background. The French market like it.
But are these, but are these science fiction covers in
No,
France?
no, those are urban
urban
fantasy. Those are urban fantasy
urban
covers.
fantasy.
They
Okay.
are the equivalents
And
of all those aggressive ones I sent you.
Yes.
Do French urban fantasy covers look like these covers, like with a woman like this, or
French, German, and as I'm learning Spanish, all over the place in comparison to the US and the English-speaking market. The genre, both in science fiction and in urban fantasy, the genres have cover book rules, which you can break. If you look at the cover of Twilight, that's urban fantasy. It's someone peeling an apple. Would I get away with that? No. But you come to Germany and you say, okay, show me the top 50 best-selling urban fantasy. And there's some influence from the American market. There's the swirly lights in the background and so forth. And then there's, I don't know, a picture of something that you can't tell what it is. And the
it's they're
exaggerated
really
font.
they look like art to me, like
Yeah.
urban fantasy covers in
Yes.
Germany.
And if you go in Spain, which is a sensitive point with me at the moment because I'm crashing and burning in Spain. You look at the urban fantasy covers there, Urbana Fantastica, Fantasia, and it's
Fantasia.
it could be anything. It literally could be
Really?
anything.
Okay.
It could be art. It could be a thriller cover. It could be a romance. It could be anything. And so
But why
I'm
is
using.
that?
I don't know.
Because the genre is not that established there, or
It's
what do you think?
Spain is probably I don't know a fifth of the size of say Germany
Okay.
or England. So a genre which in itself would only be a tenth or a 15th of the market. Yes, of course, it's not quite so established. And I fell into the trap, having thought, well, there's no point in doing something completely different. I used my American covers in Spain, and immediately got a note back from Amazon, timed
Okay.
just at the point where I could not change my pre-order, telling me your book one is too aggressive. It breaks our rules. So Amazon, international company, works in Germany, works in America, works in England. That someone can come at you with a gun, not pointed at you, but leaping out of the cover with a gun, doesn't work in Spain. So I had to choose one of the alternative photos from the photo shoot, where instead of the gun pointing, the gun's pointing down, and they accepted that.
I see.
But in the meantime, I've just launched without Amazon. So I've done a whole load of Facebook adverts, and I am getting click, 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 clickety, click, 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 but I'm getting no sales.
With the cover where the gun is pointing towards the reader, did you get the clicks on this cover, or
Well, I changed immediately. The pre-order went live, but and the clicks haven't gone up or down. So, as far as the readers are concerned, they don't care. But
Okay.
as far as Amazon España is concerned, it's not acceptable.
Because you are unable to sell the book with this cover.
Yeah, I mean, it's selling. It's still selling, but the ratio of people clicking on Facebook to sales is 0.0001%. Something.
Okay.
It's stupid. I expect from Germany and the US a sale every 10 clicks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not
It's
even
not like that.
1/100th of that.
Okay.
And I'm paying.
Wow.
I'm still paying for that
Yeah.
Facebook advert. So yeah, I told you I could scare you. Okay, so I'm scaring you about Spain, but not an
About
experience
Spain,
I've had in
but
Germany.
the Spanish market, is actually bigger than only Spain, right? Because you have like
Yeah.
Argentina and Costa Rica and all these other countries, and Mexico. Mexico, that was German, very German pronounced.
Mexico,
The Americans say
Mexico,
Mexico, so-
Argentina.
I was about to pronounce Spanish, so Mexico, right?
But
So the market
Even-
is way
even-
bigger
even-
than only Spain, España.
But even better than that, Spanish readers in
Yeah.
America.
In the US.
You can do that in
Yes,
Facebook.
Yes, yes,
You can
I
say
just read about that.
da, 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 and Spanish, please.
Right.
And I'm getting similar numbers of clicks from the Spanish in America as I'm getting from Spanish in the three countries I've chosen are Spain, Mexico, and Argentina, but no sales.
Yeah.
I'm
I've
obviously
heard
doing
that
something terribly,
from another
terribly
author. Do you speak Spanish?
wrong. Sí.
Sí.
No.
Oh, poco. Pero no
again-
hablo mucho.
Again, I can probably guess. It's less, very much less than French and German, but I can probably guess where Google is telling me fibs.
I
But
see.
that's a whole nother story about translating into Spanish. Which no, I got the first pass done by artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
corrected by a Spanish editor,
I see.
and she said, "My God, there's a lot wrong
Because
with
this
this."
is something that we actually meant to ask you. So, starting, your international journey, something that is at the very beginning, obviously, is getting your books translated. And for Andrea and I, we are trying a few things, but I think, when it comes, for instance, to the English market, we are at a kind of an advantage because we do speak English. But how do you
Very
go
well.
about translating your books into a language that you don't really are well acquainted with? Like, for instance, for me, it would be Spanish too. I don't speak a word of Spanish. So if I were to translate my books into Spanish, I had no idea to start. So how did you go about to translate your books?
Okay, it started in Germany, and it started pretty much by accident. That one of my readers.
Those are always the greatest stories.
Absolutely great. One of my German readers, part of his job was translating into English, and so we'd been talking on email backwards and forwards, and he sent me an email saying, "Oh, just as a bit of a laugh, I've translated your first book into German, or I am translating your first book into German."
How amazing.
And somehow one of my other bilingual readers said, I'll proofread it. And so I was getting two people working through it. They didn't agree about some things. And I thought, well, I can't decide between the two. And it was the person who last spoke to me. And I put up the first book in this mishmash of translation, but all done by hand. There was no artificial intelligence, and we're talking back in 2013, 14 or something like that. That sold quite well, but I got other bilingual readers who hadn't participated in the editorial process or anything saying, "You're not really right." And so I went to my second translator, a lady who was very thorough and all the rest of it, but she didn't really speak, she didn't really read urban fantasy. She spoke English very well, she spoke German very well, and she translated, but she didn't have a feel for it. And then finally, a third person came again, a bilingual reader, and said, your books are so much better in English. I understand what's gone wrong with the process. I will fix it. And she did one for free, and I hired her for the rest. And
wow,
she's very finicky. She's very, very finicky. She gets down into the little detail, and she'll come back to me and say, "Now, what do you mean by this? What is behind what you're saying?" But on the other hand, she's also only translates books she likes. So I said, "Can you do my science fiction?" She said, "No, don't read science fiction." And so my science fiction books are being now being translated in the new fashion. So I passed through one of the artificial intelligences, and then an editor who is bilingual and reads science fiction is going through, and I've just launched the first, and the second one is on pre-order, and I'm getting good responses back. So I'm very, very pleased with that, because it's very much cheaper to have the in English donkey work done by artificial intelligence and then corrected. I think
quicker too.
It's got to be the way.
Yeah.
Yes. It is probably a bit quicker, but I will stick with my current urban fantasy translator, because she does such a good job.
But
where's
Andrea,
the price
I think this has been
difference?
your experience as well, right? Because you have already translated books into English, and you have had English-speaking people read the books, and they couldn't tell there was a translation, even though it was done by an AI, right?
Yes. But I use DeepL. You probably do too, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it's just, and then I go over it myself. I read it myself, and then I give it to a native speaker, and she's actually working as a beta reader. I didn't know that this was actually a job, but she does that, and then she just goes over the whole text, and she tells me, well, that's odd. We wouldn't say it like that here, and yeah, and then, or maybe before that, I use ProWriting Ad to just, do some more grammar work, but it doesn't find much. I have to say that the AI translation is so good. I don't have so much to edit on it, and the person I work with doesn't either. How's it with you? Do you have does the person, it's probably a copy editor, right? Does she or he has to do a lot about grammar and stuff and all, and the translation? Yeah, the translation at large.
Yeah, I'm due some catch-up conversations with the German editor, but the Spanish, which I got a lot more involved in at the time, when she read it, she said, I mean, it is very, very obviously an AI. It's getting the gender wrong half the time.
Okay.
Which, of course, going from an ungendered language to a gendered language, even though
I
there
just
are...
figured.
Yeah. But she said it's
easier
worse.
the other way around, right?
Yeah, she said it's worse than that. She said right there in the first chapter, you've got the clock ticking down, which is absolutely standard English that you don't even think about. The clock's ticking down. You're running out of time. The clock's ticking down. We don't say that in Spanish.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything in Spanish. The clock's ticking down. What does that mean?
Yeah, we don't use that expression in German either. Indeed, it's a English thing.
No, but I think that that translating to German.
Wait, what
I
do
just
you-
have to
the
check the-
translation. I don't know.
But DeepL took the clock ticking down in English, didn't understand that it was a saying, and had
No,
the
DeepL doesn't
Spanish-
understand it in German as well. I just checked, and it's die Uhr tickt runter.
Yeah.
So that's not no.
No.
But maybe in a larger sense, DeepL would get it. I
It's
don't know.
getting better all the time. I mean, I used the Spanish DeepL 6 months ago now, or whatever it was, or even slightly longer than that. And the thing about artificial intelligence, these kinds of artificial intelligence algorithms, is that they are learning the entire time. But I sent an email to the DeepL people. I said, look, this needs to be an iterative process. You need to involve people like me and pass my feedback through and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And not interested. They've obviously got that process internally, because that's what AIs need. They need an iterative process to understand that the clock ticking down is an English expression, which in German you would say completely differently. And
I think I just realized what it would be in German. It would be die Zeit läuft ab.
Yeah.
The time is.
Die Zeit
I
läuft
think you
ab,
can
yeah.
say in English time's up or time is running up,
Time
which
is
is something
running-
you don't say either.
time's
So,
running out, you'd say in English. You'd say time's running out,
Yeah.
the clock's running down. Die Zeit läuft ab. Yeah.
Zeit läuft ab, genau. Yeah. So.
But yes, we don't want to spend the whole time talking about AI. But yes, if you're advising people who write in German who want to break into the US market, go through very, very similar cycle as a process that you've just described to me. Break the back of it in DeepL, do some of your own editing if you speak a bit of English, then get an editor, then get a beta reader, and at the end of it, if it sounds a little odd here and there, it's not going to be bad, because everyone has an individual style. Other English writers wouldn't say the clock's ticking down. I use it completely naturally. Others wouldn't. They would say, "Oh, that sounds a bit funny to me." So you could hide under the variety of the English language anyway. For advice to new people, yes, go that way. And I'm sorry for the other people who have made their lives out of doing translations and so forth. You're going to have to become an editor rather than a complete translator.
I don't know. I actually think that translators could benefit from AI as well, because they can work much faster and they can include it into their workflow. So
yeah.
What I think
Because
is so what I think is so interesting, though, talking to you now and about your experiences, especially because you have been doing this for a few years, is I think we started to talk to other authors in Germany about translating your books, and the general consensus was, don't use an AI, go to a translator, human translator, otherwise the work is not going to be good. And I think this has changed over the course of the past year, for instance, so much that AI has evolved so much that it is actually a viable option, which is also affordable, especially for an indie author, to translate your books into another language. And I think your experience very much speaks to that as well. And I think this is very encouraging, actually.
Yeah, I'd heartily recommend the people I use, Greenfield. They're doing it obviously from English to German, but I am sure, and I've not spoken to them about German to English, obviously, but I am sure they would do the reverse process, and I think it would be, I think that would be the way to go these days. But not when I started. No, that was a couple of mates who translated it in their spare time. And I survived.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
I survived.
You did, obviously.
I'm eternally grateful to them for kicking me up the backside and saying, you've got a big market here in German. if you get it translated in German. This just did some numbers. Yeah, I've sold strict ebooks. So this isn't page reads, but strict ebooks. I've sold 1/10 the number of books in Germany in English as I have in America, and I think that's pretty. I think that's amazing that the Germans
That is amazing.
So capable of reading.
Well, Germans love.
something.
We love international books, so we love translated books. But also, there's a huge market for books that haven't been translated because Germans do like to read English as well, I guess.
Yeah.
We do have English corners in our bookstores, so it's really common
Yeah,
to read English books here.
but that would be for printed books. Yes, when I was pulling these numbers off just to see for myself, I have sold, apart from France, which is almost all paperbacks, in the rest of the world, all added together, everything added together, every single printed book, less than 1,000.
What? But
Printed
Wow.
books, print-on-demand books, just don't seem to work for me. Maybe because I'm not putting any adverts behind them, but my income is more from page reads, and then ebooks, and then way down printed books. I've sold more audiobooks than I've sold printed books.
wow.
Wow, yeah, and Germany is very different for the split between ebooks and page reads.
Yeah.
So, in the rest of the world, in English, all put together, my page reads for urban fantasy, just for urban fantasy, my page reads total 22 million, which is wonderful. Anything that says million after it is wonderful, even if you're being paid 0.004
That is
cents.
impressive.
No, that's not
And
impressive.
it's making me
But-
like, oh, I want to enter that market.
No. Ask me to tell you a story about the last SPF conference when I finish this. Okay, 22 million page reads in English urban fantasy in English. In German, just German, okay, so Austria, Switzerland, Germany, 18 million page reads. So I've only sold
Excuse me.
1/10 the books, the ebooks, from the USA to Germany, 1/10. But in terms of page reads, my German market is bigger than my American market,
Wow.
and almost
Here
as
we
big
have our
as the
number.
rest of the world.
Freya.
Sorry, I'm
a
very
number to
very much
aspire to.
I have an engineering background, very much a numbers person.
Yes.
But these are the English books or the German books?
No,
In
the-
German. So the German books are at 18 million page reads. Wow.
18 million page reads for the German translations for urban fantasy only, as opposed to 22 million for urban fantasy in English. 22 million the rest of the world, everywhere.
Wow.
And
I don't even know
more-
these numbers from me.
That's 10 years, remember, or not quite 10 years, because when I started, Kindle Unlimited wasn't made just to become an option, but I kept well out of it for, 5 years, and then someone said, "You're shooting yourself in the foot," and so I put them in Kindle Unlimited, and boom.
I think this is what
Oh,
Andrea
I-
once said to me too. But by the
wanna
way,
know
this
my
made me join KDP.
I just looked up my number, and it's 48,575 read pages.
I don't want to look up my number. Or I'm looking up my number, but I'm not going to tell you guys, I think.
But I have published 23 books so far, so...
Yeah, 48 million.
22.
That's 48 million is a number to be proud of.
In
But the story I was going to tell you
I
about was
really
S-
am. I really
SPF.
am, and I'm really like, seriously, in 4.5 years. Yeah.
That's excellent. I've
Wow.
been going
Okay,
for
well,
10
I've
years
looked
and
up
I've
my number.
Thank you for this moment, because I wouldn't have
absolutely.
looked it up.
By the way, I've looked up my number, so I'm in the millions too, and I have
Yay!
started 3 years ago with KDP, and it's 8 million pages, so...
That's amazing.
But
we're
it's
millionaires, people.
We're millionaires.
Page
We're
rate,
But
millionaires.
this is something to aspire to, so this is...
That's
is very
something we've reached
inspirational.
already. That's yeah. Thank you.
You keep, keep.
I feel
keep
really
your-
good now.
Yeah, keep your eyes on these numbers. They are.
Yes.
They make you feel good.
On these total numbers, not the daily numbers, because the daily numbers can really depress you.
They do.
The total
They can.
numbers, yes.
Especially in Spain.
Oh, but yeah. I think we really have an advantage here because because translating from German into another language is probably way easier because our language already is really complicated, and
Yeah, it
to
is.
translate it into an easier
Got three
one,
genders.
even though into Spanish or French, I think it's because they have the grammar is even more difficult. At least it was for me to learn. So there may be some issues, but I really want to have a Spanish book. So you got me
Go
there.
for it. Go for it. The people
But what I'm
succeed
really
in
interested
Spain.
is, yeah, I will. It's just we get back to this interview in a few years. But how do you market your books in these other countries? Do you build author platforms or do you just do advertising?
Largely advertising. I have my Facebook pages, and I answer people in German on the German page, and I haven't had anyone tell me off yet. So, but what people should be doing these days, which I have been very, very slow to get on to, is newsletters, because Amazon is enabling this thing, but Amazon is not your friend. Amazon knows who it should send recommendations for your books for, but they don't. So the thing you've got to do as a newbie indie author is to start very early and do emails and newsletters. And I've just signed up a company to help me in English. So I have what they call the onboarding process and so forth. I've taken my prequel out of Kindle Unlimited. We're going to give the prequel away, and if you sign up to take it, you get on to the emails. We can see if you continue to read the emails. We can see if you actually follow the link and buy something, and those people that do that, they're our special friends, and we develop them, and hopefully we have, I don't know, 5,000-10,000 people who will buy when I produce a new book. And those 5,000 or 10,000 people who will buy in a relatively short space of time a new book makes such a tremendous difference, because you launch, you get the initial boost from Amazon, and then you take it right up there, and then lots of people see it, and then you get organic and it feedback, and it just rolls and rolls and rolls. Not being able to do
And
that.
how do you get? Sorry.
Go on.
How do you get? How do you get these 5,000 to 10,000 people? Because I do it like this. I have a prequel that I give away for free for people who join my newsletter. But I find it's really difficult to find these people to download the prequel, and I do some Facebook ads on this, and how do you do it? How do you get? Or how the company you work with, is it really company? Can we link to that?
Yeah.
Do we have a name? And what do they do? Exactly.
I will send you a link. They are known to me. They don't want to be. They don't want to make a big splash until they're ready. And I'm a guinea pig. Does that translate into German? A guinea pig, a test subject.
Yes,
or
it
one
does.
of the test subjects that they're using.
Laborratte, you would say in Germany. It's really not
So I
nice
can give
word.
you a link. I can give you a link to their website, and we can talk in 6 months' time, and we'll see how it's done. Yes, in terms of how do you get your freebies into people's hands, I am very, very good at that. If I run a weekend, which I did a lot during lockdown and the year before and so forth, I was running what I call pulse advertising, which was every now and then I'd pick a book, and I had some background adverts that people might have been familiar with, but I took that background advert and I put a red strip along the side saying free this weekend, and then I would go into Amazon and KU,
Oh, I see.
and I would say take the price down to 0 for 4 days, and I would pay Facebook, I don't know, 20, 30 pounds a day or something like that, from which I would get several hundred clicks, more than that. If I ran a weekend freebie, I can expect to get probably in the thousands, and do that a couple of times, and you've got 5,000. Those 5,000 aren't going to stay in you if you tie it in with emails and so forth. Those 5,000 aren't going to stay as your super readers or anything like that. So you're going to have to winnow them out. You're going to have to do it again and again and again. So it's not that I can tell you how to do something that will fix it. I can say you've got the idea, but it's a process, and you've got to keep going on it. It's 99% perspiration. Got to keep going.
Yeah.
And the
I love
other
that,
thing,
by the way.
the other thing is because I haven't been doing this in a very clever way. I've just been doing it the way I described. I do a Facebook advert. I boost my Amazon advert for that particular book over the weekend, and I allow. I put the link from Facebook straight through to Amazon. No, the way that we're doing it now is to put the book on BookFunnel or one of these hosting websites, and you put the link from Facebook to BookFunnel, and to get it from BookFunnel, they have to give you your name.
That's so smart, because I always I use the Facebook form where people can sign up directly to my newsletters, but that doesn't work because the people don't get the confirmation mail, and so they don't confirm that they have subscribed, and I lose so many people with that. But when I send them directly to BookFunnel and via BookFunnel, I can let them sign up for my newsletter, right?
Yeah.
That's so smart. Thank you so much.
Oh my God, seriously.
And these are the things that you find. I'm a member of a group, the London Indie Authors, which is an excuse to turn up to a pub and talk about things. And a lot of the stuff has come from literally.
We'll join you next year when we're in London.
Yes.
Well, we got
Maybe
the
special guests.
We've got well, I hope so. But the SPF conference next week, you're not coming to that in London. No, you are.
Because we've gone on the London Book Fair, but we've
okay.
already decided that we'll be at the self-publishing show next year, and maybe
if it takes place. So but we really would like to go.
Yeah.
Well, if you are coming across to London, give me the dates, and I'll see if I can put together the Indie Authors London pub group meet with your dates, and we can all meet up and talk about things.
That was so cool.
But,
and this is what I love about Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
Indie Authors. It's Craig Martell's comment about rising tide lifting all boats and things like that.
Yeah.
We help each other. That's what the Indie Authors do, I hope.
And I love that. About this community, about talking to authors like you, and helping each other out, and it's not just that it's making you a successful author, it's just so much fun, and you meet these great, interesting people, and I'm so appreciative of this moment right now.
And we feel so welcomed, because you could say that the English authors wouldn't be so happy to have just 2 more authors in the market and competing with them, but it's not like that. Everybody we talk to is just so nice and so helpful and so amazing, and I just love it.
Yeah, me too.
Well, yeah, so. I hope it continues like this. Yes, if things get harder and harder and harder, maybe some people will be saying, "Well, no, I don't want to give my secrets away." But at the moment, no. Everyone is sharing, because the market is mutating and growing quicker than as single people or as 1 or 2 people we can react. So if we have more people that we react with, we learn how to react differently. Yeah. Hopefully that will keep us going. And it's not an easy option being an author and being an indie author.
No, that's
not
it.
An easy option.
No.
Yesterday I was talking to a bookstore owner, and she's an author too, and we just realized you can have all the secrets if you don't put in the effort, which brings us back to your quote, right? If you don't put in the effort, you will not succeed. So there are actually no secrets. There's no shortcut to being successful. You really have to go and find your own way. Yeah. You can't even just go the other way one other author did with a lot of effort. You won't succeed if it's not your way.
But it also makes, looking back, for instance, like what we just did, we looked at our numbers and we realized, okay, we're good. It makes, having this success.
We're not good, we're amazing.
I think it makes it so special, because, it's our work. It wasn't handed to us. We made this work, and this is something we also share, as an author community. And I think this is a great thing to connect on this journey, basically, and on all the things you put into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a feedback process. You put in a bit and you get back much more. So keep putting in a bit.
Yeah.
Keep finding out things, and hopefully it gets better. But yes, German authors definitely should be looking at the English market. You have in Germany about 84 million people, and the USA has 330 million people, and that's just the USA. Yeah. I mean, the UK's got another 60 million people as well. So there's a big market for books. People are voracious for books. It's strange to hear at the same time that people are reading less and educational standards are going down and this, that, and the other. There's in statistics you normally have a normal distribution curve. I think what we have is a bimodal distribution. You have people who don't read and people who do read. And the people who do read are reading more, and there are lots of them. There are lots of them in America and in the UK. So go for them. And the other thing, which I got teased by Michael Anderle for not putting out book sets, and I said it can't possibly work. It just it cannibalizes your own business. It's just a discounted way of selling the same books. And he said, trust me. So I put out books 1 to 3 and books 4 to 6. Of the urban fantasy, and kind of forgot about it and looked at it a few days later and it wasn't doing anything. They are doing something now, and they are different. Those, where I came into this, those are what the Americans are calling whale readers. They don't want to buy individual books. They want to buy a book set. They want to get into it and stay in it. So not only get translations, but have your translations accumulated together in book sets. Go for it.
I think I have made the same experience in the German market as well too. So last year I updated all of my book covers, and then I put together a box set of books that had been out for the last one for over a year, and it just completely changed the game for me. It was a tip that I received, from Mark Dawson basically during his Ed for Authors course, and it absolutely worked and it is in the process of transforming my life at the moment. So it's something that I can recommend for the German book market as well.
Yeah.
Good.
But it's really genre specific. For romance, it doesn't work like that. But I think that a lot of people, my brother, for instance, when he starts a new Netflix TV show to watch, he only watches it when there are more seasons out already.
Yeah. Because
he's so annoyed when when the first season's over and then another one is coming. But with a box set, there are more books in that series, and you don't have to wait for book second, like for a year or something. And since people are reading this fast, like a book in a day or even more, I just had I just saw a challenge on TikTok where the person was supposed to. You saw that too?
Yeah.
What was that? Like 7 books in 4 days or something? And I was
like that. It blew my mind.
Yeah, and it wasn't like short books. It was really new adult books, like 400, 500 pages, and I was like, what? How you? So people are reading fast, and so they need just the next book. They don't want to wait, and since they read so many books, they cannot switch between the stories like that.
Yeah.
When I read this book with that story and then I read another book with another story, I get confused. So I have to read the whole series. I'm not like that, but...
And I think because you are publishing in urban fantasy readers, when they see an advert, 1,000 pages of adventure or something, you're good to go. So this is something that works.
One of my adverts at the bottom of the advert in Facebook was 1 million words of excellent urban fantasy or something like that. I just made it up at the time, but I got a good result. I got a good reaction to that. But there was something, I can't remember whether I noted it down, but I was looking at the numbers for the book sets in Germany, and these might not be the exact numbers, but I've given away book sets in Germany, and that's popular, and I was looking to see, does it mean because I've given away 1,000 book sets in Germany that I will get 1,000 sales of the second book set? No. And this is something I think I see increasingly, that giving things away has to be part of a process. And the only benefit I got from giving away those 1,000 book sets in Germany was the level of pages read, which... just went up through the roof when I did those adverts. So what was happening is that 1,000 people saw the advert, downloaded it. It went up into the charts, and then other readers came along and said, "Well, I'm not going to take it anyway, but I see that there's 2 book sets, and I've got Kindle Unlimited, so I'm going to read them all." And that's where it comes from. I have to say that the old thing, when again going back 10 years, the idea was always that you would give away book 1 in a set, and if you had 5 books following, because you gave away book 1 to 1,000 people, and you normally have 80%. Let's say you have 80% read through and then 90%. You give away 1,000 books and those people will percolate through on that read through. No. You give away 1,000 books, or you sell them at a discount. You make it an impulse buy, and what you do is you ruin your read throughs. This is my personal experience. You ruin your read throughs because people who take a freebie, 90% of them don't read it. People who buy on impulse, 50% of them don't read it. And that will, even if they do read through, because there's such a a step down, it makes your read-through look terribly bad. My organic read-through before I started giving freebies was in the region of 80% from book 1 to 2, and then 85-90% for the rest of them. Started giving them away, and that first step went down to 30%. So give away books by all means when it's part of a process. You know, using the files to gain numbers, or give it away as part of a process to promote your books so that you get lots more page reads. Don't give them away because you think, I'm going to give them away book 1 and they're going to read through the rest of my series at the organic read through. They're not, in my experience.
Has been my experience as well.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone else has the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, you out there, did you have this experience? Just comment below the video. Yeah, we had an hour, which is crazy. It doesn't feel like this.
Went by really fast.
Yeah.
But we have two questions in the end. We ask everybody who's on the show, and the first one is, what's the change you wish to see in the book world?
I can wish for something without it likely becoming true. The change I would like to see in the book world is
wishful thinking. We need that.
Amazon would share its reader contents with you. Okay, they can't give you the names and addresses, but you should be able to say to Amazon, I want this advert to go to people who've read my book because this is the next.
Oh yeah.
And they'll read it. So because Amazon is so huge, and if you get into KU, you end up being exclusive to Amazon and so forth. They have such a stranglehold on indies because I think probably 99% of indies are with Amazon, and probably 90% of them are exclusively. This would make such a tremendous difference to the indie market that you could say to Amazon, look, I want to advertise to people who bought my book because they're likely to buy the second one. They say they do it. They say if you go into AMS and you pick these numbers and do that and all the rest of it, we'll do it for you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And sorry, two things. That if inflation applies to everything else, it also applies to book prices.
Yeah.
Because my book price hasn't gone up by the rate of inflation that my groceries have.
No. Yeah, that's something to think about, right? Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay, so let's get to the second question. Which book is highest on your to-be-read pile, and why haven't you read it yet? It's a favorite question of everybody. I ask.
Yeah, and everyone's struggling with it.
I have increasingly found it difficult to read entire series, and so there is a series that I absolutely love in urban fantasy, Faith Hunter's Jane Yellowrock series, and I'm just too busy to read the last two, I think. I say that very quietly because I don't want to upset Faith Hunter. But yeah, I have absolutely no excuse because I know I will love them. If I have an excuse, it's that it'll stop me working for a day or two while I read them. But yeah, whatever the next is in the Faith Hunter series is as good as an answer as any, I think. Very difficult question. Very difficult question.
Indeed, I'm always, I don't know, I don't want to answer either. So
yeah, true. So,
Mark, it has been an absolute pleasure, really, and we're so very grateful that you could come to our show and that we could talk to you. I think this has been an hour that has given us a lot of stuff to think about and to be thankful for. So.
And a lot of inspiration and confidence, kind of even.
I hugely enjoyed this. I kind of didn't expect to, but it's been enormous fun. An hour, my goodness, where did that go?
You're glad.
Lots more to talk
Yeah.
about when you come across to London, or I come across to Berlin, or wherever it is. I'm sorry, I can't remember where you live.
Yeah, please. If you are in Germany,
Yeah, I come from Berlin.
so
Oh,
just and I can go to Berlin.
Yes, she can come here. She comes here quite often, actually.
So please let us know, and we will let you know when we are in the UK, and we hope
Yeah.
to meet again soon.
Great. Yeah, look forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah, we too. Have a
Thank you
beautiful
again.
day.
Yeah.
And you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
So, if you enjoyed this interview, if you have any thoughts, any numbers maybe to share, just, put in a comment and let us know where you stand, where you want to go. And just, we feel like right now the sky is the limit, and we hope you share and that feeling. And yeah, please let us know if you do.
Thank you so much for watching or listening. We really appreciate it. And again, if you want to be on the show, just give us a note and we'll figure something out. Until then, have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye. Until next time.
Until next time.